Hello and welcome to Welcome Home Radio with your hosts, Blair Thomas and Tom Holm. The waters in the mortgage industry can be pretty muddy. Luckily, Welcome Home Radio has the answers for you, the consumer. And now, here are your hosts, Blair Thomas and Tom Holm.
And welcome to Welcome Home Radio. It is January 22nd. Boy, we're finally getting some winter weather around here a little bit.
That's
it's
why
still
I wore
a little
my
wet.
Dallas Stars hockey cap
I
today.
see that.
It's hockey weather.
Hey, I'm not going to do a historical intro. I am going to talk about New Year's resolutions.
Oh, let's do it.
Now, what is a New Year's resolution? It's a tradition most common in the Western Hemisphere, also found in Eastern, in which a person resolves to continue good practices, change an undesirable trait or behavior, to accomplish a personal goal or otherwise improve their life. Now, here's the question.
Yep.
What are the top 10 things people do New Year's resolution? What do you do? Did you do one?
A resolution?
Resolution. Did you do one this year?
No.
I didn't either. I didn't. No, I have to say I did do one. I did one, and it is to read more, but it's read more of the Bible. I'm going to be more consistent in my reading.
Yep.
But that's the only one I did because I know I just don't. I'm not able to succeed, and we're going to talk about it. What do you? Going back, number 10, top 10 New Year's resolutions.
Because I've worked out my whole life and I'm a member of a health club, it's always the health club and the weight.
Yeah, I think that's always a big one.
Yeah.
Number 10, spend more time with families and friends. 13%. It's a pretty good one. I would advise that one be tried any time.
You would hope people don't have to resolute to that, though.
Well, you would hope, but
Yeah.
again, people get stuck on other things and life gets in the way.
It's a nice word, wasn't it? Resolute.
Number 9, drink less alcohol. 15% of the people drink less alcohol.
What's number 2? Drink more?
We'll see.
That's what I'm thinking.
Number 8, find another job. Now, I've heard about this one.
Yeah.
Everybody in New Year's, want to start off new and, hey, I got to get out of this job.
Yeah.
Number 7, this is mine, read more.
There you go. That's
17%.
There you go.
Number 6, only number 6, quit smoking. Now, I heard that is a hard one.
That's been, I think, dropping from 1 down to, it's on its way down because a lot less people do it.
Well, a lot less people. Yeah,
Right.
We've done much better in the recent, at least in the Western
now
Hemisphere.
It's number 3 is don't vape.
Yeah, no, that didn't make the list yet, but it should.
It's going to.
Number 5, learn a new skill or hobby. 26% of the people need to learn a new skill or hobby.
I like that one a lot.
I do.
I'm not a great hobby guy. I like certain things.
Well, golf or go hunting or fishing or woodwork.
To me, that's what I'm thinking. More something in your home, not going and leaving and running around the country playing golf and fishing. But
just gardening, taking care of your lawn better or taking care of the house better.
And you know what I kind of got into as a little boy with my stepdad was building models. And I'm kind of...
Really?
Yeah, like battleships to Missouri and, stuff like that. And we did that as kids and a few cars too, and F-15 fighter jets because I used to work on those. So I enjoy model building.
That would be... I remember doing that, and I always enjoyed that. I was either the funny car dragsters or the military.
Yeah, I love the military stuff.
So
I agree with you.
Okay, number 4, save more, spend less. 32%.
That's a good one.
That is one that I wish all of our kids would learn. 5% savings every month, no matter what, that sort of thing.
Yep.
Number 3, what's the famous one everybody wants to do? Lose weight. Number 3.
Thought that might have been higher.
Number 3.
Okay.
Well, I got a feeling all the next 2 are combined with that.
Okay, let's go.
Number 3, lose weight. Number 2, exercise more. Well, I want to exercise more so I can eat more. I mean, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, I guess there's that low, you don't get your heart rate up as high when you're trying to lose weight. But if you're already in good shape, then you want to get your cardio high. So I kind of get it. Yeah.
I can see the difference, but again, they are combined. And then number 1, I really don't know how they decipher between all these top 3 for the diet or eat healthier. Eat healthier. So now all of a sudden I'm going to cut out the kale. For me, I'm going to cut out kale.
We could do a show
cut out
on
sugar.
real estate and lending and diet.
Diet. We can save your down payment by just dieting.
Yeah, we could do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, stop going out to dinner or stop doing this. I mean, I'm sure there would be a lot of ways. Well, that's New Year's resolutions. Now,
those are good ones.
What percentage of the New Year's resolutions fail?
Let's
National
see.
average.
National average. I'll go, since you did 10, I'll just do an even number. I'll say 70%.
You're off by 10%.
Okay.
80% of the New Year's resolutions fail. And do you know by when?
February 1st?
No.
That's my guess.
Well, that's a pretty good guess, but you're short a little bit.
Okay.
January 17th, it's called National Ditch Day. Ditch your New Year's resolution.
Wow.
Is January 17th. I could not believe it. By 17th, we've given up on 80% of our New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, I guess I can. It's when you work out at a health club and you show up January 2nd or 3rd, when it opens back up after New Year's, and you see a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And that might be about the right date when they quit.
When they quit going.
Because I think like 70 to 75% of their subscribers don't use the gym.
No.
They support the gym with monthly payments.
Yeah.
But they don't go and use the equipment.
I think what's going to reach the top 10 in the next 3 years. The next 3 years,
okay,
this is going to reach the top 10.
Okay.
Buy less on Amazon.
Well, that could be like save money.
Save money and addiction.
Yeah.
I mean, people tend to. I think it's become a phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
I've always challenged how in the world, with all these packages stolen on the front, don't you get tired of that, or doesn't Amazon get tired of replacing, this sort of thing?
There's a big generation out there. It's all they know now, though.
It is.
So it's not, that's a little bit of, I don't know. You used to shop at the stores, as did I.
And I'm used to that. I like that.
And there's a generation that's never been to a Penny's.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that. And, well, that's our New Year's resolutions
Very cool.
overview. I thought that would be good to share, and I hope you do continue. If yours is for healthier or savings, you continue on. To learn a habit generally takes 26 days. That's why January 17th, evidently, and I couldn't believe we found a national holiday, Ditch New Year's Resolution Day.
Yeah, I'll have to remember that one.
Hey, I'm excited about today's show. I think this is going to be a good topic.
Yep.
We're going to discuss the pros and cons of renting versus buying.
Yep.
And I think this is going to be key because, as New Year's resolutions, direction, sometimes a lot of people have a goal of buying a new home, buying a home the first time, or downsizing, or right-sizing, or upsizing, moving their kids to another school district. So many reasons to make this change.
Yep.
And I think talking about this topic helps people understand what is their intention. Right now, my son-in-law and daughter are getting prepared to leave and move to Colorado in May.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, he's going through that rush of clean up, get up, clean out, fix, repair, and we were talking about a few things, and there's challenges with all of it. Now, so going off and talking about renting, let's just focus on renting, okay? What are some of the pros for renting?
Well, it's generally the first thing you're exposed to as a young adult. You're either getting out of college, getting your first job, or you're getting out of high school, getting a job, and you're not living with your parents. And renting is easier to do than buy. Your credit is looked at a little bit differently, and you don't have that long-term responsibility of that monthly payment. You might have a 6-month lease, you might have a 12-month lease. When you buy a home, you get a 15-year lease or a 30-year note.
Yep.
So you've got possibilities there as far as
you might have commitment issues.
When you're young, you're mobile generally. You get different jobs. You might do 2 jobs in the first 3 years.
Yep.
And, if you buy a home in, like you said, your son-in-law, Dallas, and now you're going to Colorado, well, you know what? If you buy a home and you leave a year later, you're probably going to lose money on it.
Depending on the timing, you could lose. So
generally,
so
even in a good market.
renting can be a challenge in some cases, but renting is sometimes the best. Low maintenance.
Absolutely.
I mean, definitely. When you own a home, you have higher responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Not owning that property, not having to maintain the outside, not having to deal with repair issues when weather. We were just talking about weather with the owner of KVGI Radio and KVGI Media.
Yep.
He's having to make an emergency trip to Michigan for a home, and that challenges that come with it. But that's responsibility. It is low maintenance in renting. Mobility, you brought that up. This generation, I think, when you're younger, you're mobile, you're going to be chasing that career change.
Yep.
You're going to chase that opportunity in a right spot. Opportunity may fall, or just hey, there's something better in another area. I think renting allows you to make those changes quickly, where a home, it's an anchor.
It is.
It's some stability.
Yeah.
It's a proof of stability, but it's an anchor in some cases. I agree with there's less out-of-pocket cost, because ultimately you're not gaining any equity in the home or other location.
Right.
You're paying somebody else's mortgage, in the sense that's I like to say.
Yeah.
But it's possibly good for the other reasons of social life or sphere of influence or travel desires.
It's
or
like
all
anything.
of that.
It's a free market society. So if when you're young and up and coming, you probably don't have a lot of money in the bank. You're probably still in debt a little bit.
Yep.
From something in your past that you had to purchase, be it an education or that car or whatever.
Well, but renting also allows you to be in a geographical location that maybe buying is not possible for you at this time.
Well, you can also share the cost of renting by getting somebody to live with you.
Yeah.
You can split the rent. So, $1,500 a month becomes, $750
Or $500,
or however you want to do it, right?
Yeah.
And
So so that again takes back your social, economic, and geographical location desires
Right.
into a potential solution as opposed to a ownership solution.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Uptown, as they call it here in Dallas, it's a high fancy condominium lifestyle. A lot of it, I would say, New York or European, where residential on top, commercial or
Right.
Market on the bottom. And a lot of people can't afford to buy down there, but they can rent and have 3 or 4 friends.
Well, that's where rentals.
very good.
There's a similarity on rent and buy in that situation where you're talking, a downtown area like Dallas or L.A. or Atlanta or some other city. Rentals are high there too.
Yep.
And demand is high.
Anywhere.
Right. And so when demand is high, rent is high, and of course the purchase price is high. In general, though, with today's interest rates and you being a lender that you are, that that monthly payment for a house can be less than a rental payment.
In a lot of cases.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases. And we'll talk about the pros and cons of
Right.
buying at that time. But I can see where renting can be very advantageous. If you look at the situation you're in, you're trying to save up money. Renting is, hey, this is the best way I'm going to be able to survive until that time comes.
You could almost say that everybody, 100% of the working public is rented at one point.
At some point. I
Right.
got to believe that's true.
You never be able to say that about purchasing a home, ever.
What do you know what the percentages are?
I don't know.
68%.
Oh, there you go. There's your going right into what you were talking about, the flexibility and the affordability and the ableness of moving in when you have to, and not committing long term. Committing long term financially is hard for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. One reason is they're new, never did it. 2 is they tried it, failed miserably. 3, they grew up with folks that lived that way too, and they don't know any different. And so you deal with all 3 of those in the world that I live in and the world you live in. I've seen it all.
Yep. And the other challenge is there is the term called home poor.
Right.
If you're home poor, buying a home is not something you want to do. You want to travel, let's say, or your money wants to go somewhere else at this time.
Yep.
And that's a challenge. Now, and also renting, coming out of divorce, coming out of a career change from one area to another, dealing with situations, sometimes going to renting is the best thing.
Yep.
And I did it coming out of a bankruptcy, and knowing the challenges with that, I had to go into a lease. And thank goodness I was able to get into it. I mean, you had
options.
I had options, thank goodness.
Yeah.
At that time, going through a bankruptcy, losing all the things I thought I'd worked for.
I will never forget the first rental. We just could not believe we had an apartment. It felt like a home.
It was yours.
Yeah, and it was nicer than the home I grew up in.
Yeah.
But I was renting it, and I was in Dallas. There was a creek underneath my,
A crick?
A crick underneath my Weber grill. Didn't have any furniture, but I had a Weber grill.
Of course. Yeah, hey, you got your priorities right.
Yeah. So it was just, oh my God, I've made it. I've got an apartment.
Yep.
I was 22.
Yep.
I've got an apartment. This is greatness. And it takes a little bit of, it just takes all that pressure off you. You have a place to live. Now I can focus on my work and come home. And the nice part about it is you don't repair anything.
Yep.
Some doesn't work. They fix it. Now, obviously, you have to listen to other people's problems next door.
Yeah.
Whatever they may be.
Well, now can I want to share you my experience here.
Yeah.
Of course, coming right out of college, dorm life is one thing. That's really not renting, but it is in the same case.
Yep.
But then I went right into the military BOQs. Those were always provided for you.
Yeah.
So you were on post listing. Well, then I finally got over to Germany. Since single, I couldn't live on post. I had to live off post.
Okay.
So I'm renting on the German economy.
There you go.
By myself. And it was only 100 square meter. Now, 100 square meters is pretty big. It's not, for a single guy.
Are you paying in the almighty dollar or the
I
marks?
was paying in the marks at that time. Well, I got to pay in dollars, but, at the time, way back when, a lot of y'all don't remember the 80s like I do. It was interesting.
Yeah.
So the challenges of that renting experience, what you just talked about, being at that place by myself, having my own place, wow, this is really nice, all different in another country was amazing. Hey, I hear we got a caller on the line.
Oh, good.
Do we have a name? Well, we're going to get worked out here in a second. We got a caller?
Okay, no problem.
You there?
Oh, there you are. I hear somebody.
Who's on the line?
My name is Rick.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, good to talk to you guys. I love your show.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, bud. How you doing today?
Good, thank you. Hey, I was listening. I've got some friends who've been renting an apartment for a number of years here locally, and they're looking to make a change. I don't know if they are looking to buy a brand new home or a home that's already been lived in, but they were talking to this about me a couple of weeks ago, and since you guys are talking about renting versus buying today, I was hoping you might maybe shed some light on how to get started with that process, what's involved in it, and I'll just take your feedback offline.
Hey, thanks, Rick, so much for calling in. You can call in, and like Rick,
Appreciate
you can call
it,
in on 877-337-5844 if you have a question. Rick, thank you again for a great question. Renting versus buying. Why don't you take the first area of that?
Well, the first thing you want to do is if you've established that you're wanting to go a different direction, the first thing you want to do is reach out to, somebody like Blair. You can find out where you're at credit-wise.
Yep.
You're either ready or you're not. And if you're not, Blair can certainly get you in the right direction, the right frame of mind, and say, listen, you're not ready now, but in 3 months, let's do this. And then when a guy like Blair gets you pre-approved, and I might have sent, if you were my client, I might have sent you to Blair and, got that party going. But that's when I get involved as a realtor. And any realtor will not, you really can't work with somebody until you get your credit pre-approved.
I would say that is step number one, is
Absolutely.
to know your status, whether your credit and your finances, to understand so that you can start that enjoyment of looking with Alan. I mean, if you're out there, you want to be able to make an offer, you get emotionally attached to something, you want to be ready then. And whether the pre-approval is instantaneous, or it may, as Alan said, it may take 3-6 months down the road.
Yep.
But we can work you through that whole process.
And I can tell you that process, sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's not, but I've worked with people, and I know you have too. I mean, sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's a year.
Yep.
But guess what? They've been in that house 2-3 years now. So it's worth it. And that's where you start.
Well, it's setting that new goal of possibly making a change. growing out of your home, having children, needing yard, or just needing that extra bedroom, all of those things. And you're able to tell them,
Right.
that is workable, but they need to know the finances of it.
Well, Rick, I appreciate the call, and
Yes, we do.
We're going to talk more about it after our break. We got a break coming up here anytime, so everybody stay tuned. We're going to talk more about rent versus buy.
We'll be right back.
3, 2, 1. KVGIRadio.com.
Y'all have really just opened my bubble and just...
KVGI Radio brings you conversation and entertainment. Be sure to follow us on social media. Who streams the best talk shows? We do.
You're listening to KVGIRadio.com. Streaming live from the KVGI studios in Frisco, Texas. Live without limits.
Three, two, one, KVGIRadio.com.
Y'all have really just opened my bubble and just.
KVGI Radio brings you conversation and entertainment. Be sure to follow us on social media. Who streams the best talk shows? We do.
Camera.
Hello
Now I
and
can.
welcome to Welcome Home Radio with your hosts, Blair Thomas and Tom Holm. The waters in the mortgage industry can be pretty muddy. Luckily, Welcome Home Radio has the answers for you, the consumer. And now, here are your hosts, Blair Thomas and Tom Holm.
And welcome back to Welcome Home Radio. It is January 22nd. And Rick, we appreciate you calling in. If you don't want to call in, but you want to follow us, you will also find us on Facebook Live. You can ask your questions right there, streaming on KVGI Radio. And you can find us on YouTube at KVGI Media Group now. So go in there and like us.
And Tom didn't make it today. I'm Alan Pace. I just wanted to say hello. And Tom, how you doing, buddy?
I hope he gave me this sob story. He's not at the 19th hole. He's not on his yacht. He's actually having to work giving a test to his future
what I think?
lenders.
I think it's Super Bowl is coming up, and he's at the Copacabana.
Yeah, hey, who knows? Who knows where Tom is at? He said he's going to call in possibly, but, I just never assume or take that. We're talking renting versus buying. We talk some pros and some cons. I think one of the things that we want to get back to renting is some of the con areas. You can't take what you live in and change it in any way. It's going to stay that way no matter what. Remodeling, painting, taking appliances in and out. You're just not going to be able to do that when you rent.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to customize it to your likings totally. Yeah. Now, hopefully you've done your research walking in, hey, I like the place, I'll be able to enjoy it, but you will not be able to do any major decorating or remodeling. The other is, I think this is the biggest con to renting, which is you're helping someone else pay for an asset that you'll never have value in at any time.
Yep.
I mean, you're actually investing into somebody else's asset for the future.
Right.
And you're paying their mortgage. You're doing, and that is the one thing that I think so many people are challenged with and in renting. But again, it is a great solution. And like you said, 100% of everyone has rented at some time.
I think so.
I believe that.
I'm
sorry, we got a sign from our production. Nope, we're good.
But
okay.
one last thing I want to get, Rick, if you're listening out there still, if you need more help, just have them contact one of us, and
definitely
we'll get that person that go in the right direction on the rent.
We'll be glad to help them out and answer any of your questions. Now we're going to go into the buying. Okay, let's get into buying a little bit. The pros and cons of buying. Now we kind of talked about low maintenance. We kind of talked about mobility. Let's kind of talk about. Matt Green just texted up there,
hey.
Our good old California veteran that's moved to Texas and saw things in a better light here.
He had a really good realtor.
He had a really good lender, I hear, but
That's what I heard too, anyway.
Buying a home.
Yep.
There's some pros there. So again, interest deduction off of taxes financially now with the changes in some of the law it's still true, but sometimes it's not as impactful.
I think when people go to buy a home and they're coming off, let's say they're done renting, they're buying their first home, the tax thing is an important thing. I think the first thing they're looking at, though, is what you talked about earlier, stability. It's where you go when you're having your kids. It's where you go when you're
raising a family.
And so that, I think, is the first thing that folks look at. I know it's something I looked at. I'm sure you did too. If you can help it, you don't want to raise your kids in an apartment complex. But if you have to, you do. But if you have a choice and you can make the leap into purchase, then that exposes a whole lot of things, areas of town and schools and churches and all different things you can explore.
Well, it brings you into a community.
Yep.
And, I think most people wanting to raise a family want to own a home.
Yep.
They want to establish roots. They want to establish assets. They don't want to throw that money out every month. Just looking at it financially, that's what happens when you rent. Now, if I'm paying for a mortgage, I'm paying down on something. I may be paying a liability, but I'm building an asset. I'm building equity in that, and I'm building memories along with it.
And there's a certain amount of pride that goes into owning your first home.
Let's talk about that emotional pride there.
Because I'll never forget, when I bought my first home, and my dad was kind of a stickler. You ate at a certain time. He sat at a certain part of the table.
Yeah.
And, get your own home. You don't like it. That kind of thing. But I'll never forget, oh, my God, I was beaming. I mean, he pulled into that driveway, and he was like, you don't have to knock. Come on in, Dad. Blah. And he come in, and he's like, nice. And I'm not paying for it. He goes, where do you want me to sit? And we both laughed. Then he gave me a hug. He said, well done. And that was huge. Just personally, I don't know about other people out there, but that was a big thing for me that, you are starting to grow up. You got a house.
Well, yeah, your father just said you're a man now.
Yeah.
And that's huge in anybody's book. But being able to raise a family, create those memories, having that, I remember before my mother passing, the homes, like exactly what you said, the traditions we set up. Where did Dad sit? Where did Mom sit? Where did I sit?
Right.
What time we ate. Nowadays, I don't know if people sit down and actually have a meal together without any technology around, except at Thanksgiving and Christmas. I really don't know.
Well, the biggest thing, the biggest investment somebody could have made, probably next to Apple and Amazon, would have been TV trays. I'm telling you, they got to be going through the roof.
Well, I don't know anymore if TV trays are a big part, because we Uber everything in, Uber meals, and
you watch, watch a video while you're eating.
Yeah, you can be it. I remember it was so frustrating to me because I really wanted to teach my kids this. We don't eat in our rooms because of insects, because of bugs, because lo and behold, what happens when they eat in their room? Where does the food or the plates and the crumbs and all the rest go?
Yeah. Under
the bed, on the floor,
right.
Grounded, and then all of a sudden you've got an infestation. And I just so stressed on that. And unfortunately, expect what you inspect, as I always say.
As kids, we used to hide food in our bedrooms because it was one of those things where if you didn't want what Mom was making,
you had to have other resources when you were sent to your room, right?
Come back in 5 hours when it's dinner time, and like the liver and onion thing. Oh my God, it was her house. Though.
You didn't like liver and onions?
Back to the whose house is it? It's her house, her rules. No, I still don't like liver and onions.
Wow.
I'll never like.
So that is a separate
onions.
Motivation. Whenever hey, you're in my roof, you live by my rules. I have those same things in my house.
Yeah.
I don't know about this generation. I don't know how either one of all my 4 kids, handle that. But I would pretty much, like your dad said, he asked, where could I sit? It's your place.
I don't know.
But living by those rules, learning, and it was a pride thing when you were able to buy your first home.
Right.
But I remember bringing home my oldest child to a home.
Yeah.
That was special to me.
Yep.
That was important to me.
Yep.
And the problem was we didn't know if we were going to make it because we were building our first home. We didn't buy existing. And so that was a challenge.
Yeah.
But we literally lived in our home a month and a half before the baby came.
And then when the kids come home and they're grown now and they come home, they want to go look at that first house.
Oh,
all drive the old neighborhood.
time.
Yeah.
All the time.
But there's, if you're out there and you're considering buying, that's the first step. You're considering it. Something that you're doing renting has turned you astray, be it your car got robbed or your door's getting dinged or the stereos are too loud around you, or
I'm tired of investing in somebody else's business.
Yeah, and it is a lot of money out the door you can't recover. So
I think that, would you say that's the largest cost per month on anybody, whether they're renting or buying? That's the largest purchase they make.
It is the largest purchase anybody's ever going to make a home. Now, outside of the gazillion billionaire people, but
98.6 people, this is the largest purchase they'll make in their life.
So if you're considering that, reach out to Blair or myself, and we'll get you going the right direction. And you're thinking the right thing if you're thinking about buying.
Well, and I agree with you. I agree that ultimately everybody should invest in America, and that's your investment for you. I mean, it's your equity. Now, right now in Texas, I know you can't speak to it nationwide, but at least in Texas, what's the equity year-over-year growth for homes? Is it averaging still right around 4?
It bumped to 7
yeah.
that one year. But, I'd say 4 or 5 is pretty
4 to 5. 4.5 is what I've
But one thing you're always
people.
cautious as a lender or a realtor or anybody involved in the housing process is you can't guarantee anything.
No.
The market, like the stock market, it goes in cycles. So if you bought in 2006 and the economy tumped in 2007, you went backwards a little bit initially. But financially, you kept making your same payment if you're on a conventional loan, your same payment,
Yep.
and you got through it, you kept your job, and then since then, if you had a $200,000 house in 2006, it's probably 3 now.
Yep.
And you can't do that in a 401k. I'm just telling you. Generally in that price range of a house. So consistent is what matters. So you consistently paid a rent. And like Blair said earlier, you consistently gave your money to a landlord who is consistently making money off of you. And that's the American way, and that's cool.
They don't rent a home and negative profit.
Right.
They're making money.
So when you start getting in that process of buying and you buy, that $100,000 appreciation in 12 years, that's your money. That's not anybody else's. And I will tell you right now, as an experienced realtor, I can't tell you how many people go, oh my God, this has been great. Our wealth has gone up significantly.
Yep.
And that's not pie in the sky. That is, on average right now, a very, very easy thing to say that people have made a lot of money on their housing in the last 12 years.
Well, let's answer that by giving some real basics understanding. When people after their first home, normally they don't stay in their first home longer than 7 years. It's normally more like 3, 4, maybe 2, because they're ready to upgrade. They're ready to move. When they go from their first home to their second home, when do they normally move? From 200,000, they're moving to what? 350, 320, 300. They normally have built equity enough that they're moving up.
There's a couple reasons people move quickly. Okay, one is job change, promotion, things like that. Now that matters on how much house you're going to buy.
Yep.
Quickly, because I don't care what anybody tells you, you don't make a fortune on a home in 2 years.
No.
So if you're there 7, 8, 10 years, you've probably done all right and can afford to make a change and have some equity in your home. So it just depends on the situation of that particular family. If you're talking promotion, like maybe your son-in-law moving to Colorado for a reason, then yeah, it costs more money to buy a home in Colorado. They're going to buy a more expensive home. So, but then again, they're making more money and that's what they're going to do. So, but on average, I see people stay, I think their intentions are 2 to 3 years, but I think realistically, I see more 5 to 10 years in their first home. And then they're able to make quite a change. And sometimes it's dramatic. It's like from a $200,000 home, which after, the 10 years is now worth 3. So now you've got that equity that you get when you sell the home.
Yep.
And you put that towards the purchase of a new home, which is probably $350,000, $400,000. Plus you got low interest rates in our lifetime. And I'm just telling you, folks, I know the media pounds on it, but it's one thing the media does tell the truth about. These are low interest rates. They're very low interest rates.
Very.
And
what did you buy your first home? What was your interest rate at?
14.25%. Yep.
Yeah, that is 14.25%, folks.
And I bought a stripped Nissan pickup truck with nothing on it. Okay, just radio and air conditioning, and that was all.
Yeah, but that only cost you $700.
The interest was $19,900, and that's only because I had a college degree and I could prove that I had a degree. Otherwise, it's going to be $21,000. So when you grow up in that generation and you see what happens today, a lot of people say, well, things are different. Well, they are. Your money goes a lot further on a home today than it's ever gone.
Yep.
Very true. So I would say to get to the thesis of this show, which is rent versus buy, if you're in that situation where you think you can buy, don't even worry about if you can or not. Approach somebody that you trust in the business and find out. Don't go online and any old place that says.
And yes, please don't ask your friends. I know your friends are great, and my friends are, but I'm going to be honest with you.
Yep.
They don't know all the real answers.
Get a professional in the business.
Hey, we'll be right back. We're talking pros and cons of renting versus buy. Stay tuned.
3, 2, 1. KVGIRadio.com.
Y'all have really just opened my bubble and just.
KVGI Radio brings you conversation and entertainment. Be sure to follow us on social media. Who streams the best talk shows? We do.
You're listening to KVGIRadio.com. Streaming live from the KVGI studios in Frisco, Texas. Live without limits.
Hello and welcome to Welcome Home Radio with your hosts, Blair Thomas and Tom Holm. The waters in the mortgage industry can be pretty muddy. Luckily, Welcome Home Radio has the answers for you, the consumer. And now, here are your hosts, Blair Thomas and Tom Holm.
Hey, welcome back to Welcome Home Radio. Again, January 22nd, Alan and I are here talking pros and cons of renting versus buying. Nobody wants to squash anybody's dreams, and buying, of course, is a part of the American dream. But again, we do need to bring up one of the aspects of the pros for renting was maintenance. Well, there's going to be some heavy maintenance with a home. You're going to have to take care of that house. You're going to have to mow the lawn. You're going to have to do the maintenance on the HVAC system and or the windows, the electric.
Well, let me put a little thing in there. First off, you don't have to. You might want to, but
it's your investment.
People are different. Their values are different, and if they don't want to do it, it won't get done.
Well, it won't. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or they can pay somebody to get it done, and there's a cost associated. But yeah, I understand. There is maintenance. That's one of the challenges I think a lot of people, especially their first home, have to go over. The next one, really, lack of mobility. If you're weighing more into the family, growing the family, it's not a bad thing, especially school districts, geographical location. But you lose a little bit of mobility in the sense of owning a home. It is an anchor. Now, in the military, hey, that became an investment property the minute I got change of orders and I'm going to another duty station, and I still want to pay on that. So immediately that becomes a rental property as an investment for me.
Well, when you go from the rent to buy, hopefully you're working with somebody who can sit down with you and over a cup of coffee or something and talk about these things. And because Blair's right, there are things that you have to do with a home that you don't have to worry about when you're renting. But to get to that decision to buy, hopefully you've covered a lot of these things.
Sure.
Insurance and roof repair and trimming and gardening and mowing. And
the understanding nobody's in control of the weather and or the market.
Right. So what you want to do is, and since we're talking about rent versus buy, you want to prepare yourself. It's like anything you do. A new job, you want to be ready for it. You're going to buy a car, you do your research on whatever site you deem trustable. You're going to buy a home, you do your research more. You're free to roam the web and find any answer you want on any question, but you need to talk to somebody who's experienced and worked with all different kinds of buyers and sellers. And that's a good thing. We talked about it earlier. It's like going to WebMD and diagnosing yourself, or do you go to a doctor and actually get looked at? It's the same thing in real estate. You do both because you're a human being.
Sure.
But what you need to do is talk to a real person that you either found through a reference or somebody you looked up or whatever, or just somebody you've talked to somewhere and you think that their values are close to yours, and then talk about it. So if you go into buying prepared, I'm not saying you're going to eliminate some of the cons, but you will eliminate all the cons, but you will eliminate most of them.
It can be a great experience.
Yeah.
So that there's no surprises. Yep. There are no challenges that I've already thought about.
Yep.
I mean, one of the things that I think most of these people, and especially youngsters, I was challenged by it when I went to my first home from renting to buying.
Right.
I had to wake up Saturday morning and I couldn't go play basketball. I couldn't go, walk the kid or go do. I had yard work to do. I had to actually vacuum and clean up the house. I had to actually, do some of these things that, wait a minute, I don't normally had to, especially exterior stuff.
Well, if you're renting a home, there's two different. If you're in an apartment complex, you're right. You don't do none of that.
If you're leasing a home.
If you're leasing a townhome, which most people don't do because HOA dues are very high. So I'm going to say you're probably renting a house.
Yep.
And if you're renting a house, you're still cutting the grass, you're still doing minor repairs because your family lives there. And, you can call landlords all you want. Some are very good and responsive. Others are like, you fix it and I'll take it out of your rent. And then some, you fix it and you spend more and they only give you, $200 instead of the $400 you spent. But you're in your home. It's your home, even you're renting it. And that's the similarity. When you buy it, it's your home too. So I think the difference is if you're renting an apartment, everything you said is 100%. No responsibilities, zero.
Yep.
You rent a house, you're already used to probably about 80% of what you're going to do when you buy a house.
The transition's a little bit easier.
The difference is, when the big ticket things go, the roofs and the air conditioners and furnace and water tanks, things like that. And just so you know, if you're not experienced at buying homes and you're thinking about it, we write into a contract for you a home warranty. that covers you for 1 year from unnecessary expenses. So when you buy something, you have the realistic expectation of it working. It's been inspected. It worked. But you don't know a month later that hot water tank might go kaboom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's ways to keep your loss to a minimum. Again, if you're going in with an experienced agent and lender, if you're going in right, you'll get taken care of. So cons are a major thing when it comes to you don't know what you're getting into.
Well, and I think going back to, I think you really summed up this whole show. Talk to an expert.
Yep.
Do your research. Discuss this. Don't make snap decisions, because snap decisions generally cost you money and or time or equity. But to research and really understand the market, understand what you're wanting to do. Plus, there's so many questions on your side. Where do I want to own? Where do I want to go to school? Where do I want to go? Am I closest to my job? Where am I closest? Mm-hmm. All of these things come into effect, and all of a sudden, a substitute teacher can't buy in Capel.
Right.
Even though you want to, we got the champagne dreams, you got a soda pop budget, and it's just not going to happen. You're going to have to rent if you want to live anywhere close to that or in there. But to understand that direction and try to get some of that advice and know what it's going to take. The neatest part about our job is that we get to work with somebody maybe for 6 months, but we help them reach their goal.
Yep.
And to let them know this is how they'll reach a goal, what they need to do.
And I think we stop right there and we talk more about this part of it, because I can tell you folks from experience, so many of the buyers I've helped over the years were not eligible at first. They just weren't ready. But what they did different is they reached out, or my marketing reached them and they gave me a buzz or an email or a text. Sure. And they had questions, and we have answers. Yep. And those answers will get you going the right direction to purchase your home. Yep. Like I said, everybody's different. Every situation's different. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's not quick. But if you've rented your whole life and it takes a year, that's not really slow. That's really kind of a good change in your life. And so the first thing to do is reach out, and be careful with the websites. I just want to caution everybody there. If it's looks too good to be true, it certainly is.
It is.
Nobody does anything on a web page for free. They're getting money from when you're clicking on it, or they're getting money from when you call them and they talk you into a program that leads you nowhere. Yet you're tied up for monthly payments. So you got to be careful. Just for free, I will talk to you. For free, Blair will talk to you. And you're talking, 45 years experience between the two of us. So, we can talk to you about all things buying, selling, borrowing, getting out of debt. All that can be covered in a phone conversation and get you on the right path.
Easily. I totally agree. And if somebody, you're in a year's lease normally, is either an apartment or a lease.
Yep.
6 months out, you need to start your investigations. You need to minimally start at 6 months, maybe 9 months.
Minimum.
And give yourself time to make those changes, to adapt, to save up the money need for a down payment, and the minimal. Now, also, anything you find on the web, make sure it's for your area. There are different requirements for California or the East Coast than there is for Texas.
Yep.
And the unique programs for first-time homebuyer programs right here in Texas are available to almost everyone.
Right.
There's resources. There's solutions. I mean, the veteran program is unbelievable. No down payment required. But there is a civilian one as well. It's called USDA. Yep. Now, the only limitation is geographical. If you're able to work around that, then yes, there's a program for you. So, again, do not be scared of any of these challenges. Understand them going into it. Understand what the opportunity. There might be a down payment assistance program you can get into, or there might be a unique opportunity that Alan's going to find, and all of a sudden something falls in his lap about a home, and you're the perfect person for it.
That so happens. I mean, that so happens all the time.
All the time.
You have to be prepared. You have to, the first step is reach out. Just reach out to somebody, if it's not Blair or myself, somebody you know in the biz that you trust. Have that conversation, and if you like the answers, great. If not, do some more research. Because it just is really nice. It's a great feeling when somebody says, "You're pre-approved."
Yep. You got mail.
Yeah, and so Blair does all the heavy lifting, and I get all the fun. So, because people smile when they're like, last year I helped a 64-year-old couple buy their first house. That
is awesome.
They rented their whole life. You talk about a closing, hugs everywhere. It was like amazing, and that's better than when a kindergarten kid comes up and says, "Mr. Allen, this is going to be my room." That's pretty cool too.
Oh yeah.
And that's their first house. But, so I don't care what age you are, what income you have, what your situation is. If you're thinking about buying, reach out. One little phone call, one text, one something to somebody that you know and trust in the business. And if you don't know Blair and I, give us a call. We're happy to establish a relationship with you. And trust me, we know what we're doing, and we'll do a good job for you.
Amen to that. I'll be honest with you, one of the certified financial planners I work with.
Mm-hmm.
We talk all the time about all these people, and it's interesting to be able to talk about these folks' clientele because they got the money, they're investing, they know when they're good. Well, I'm actually talking with him about his personal situation.
Yeah.
And he's doing exactly what you're saying. He's investigating.
Yep.
He's looking for options. He's going to find a solution ultimately, whether it's with me or without. But he's asking those questions, and I think that's so advantageous to. This is we said it. This is the largest purchase you're going to make.
And don't think because somebody makes a lot of money, they can buy a house or they're rich. Don't think because somebody doesn't make a lot of money that they can't buy a house because they don't have a gazillion dollars.
Or they don't have a down payment, or they don't have this.
So there's so many options out there for you. Again, if you're that first-time home buyer, money is always a concern, but you make what you make. It's how you're going to spend it and how you're going to deal with it. So reach out, find out what that monthly payment will be, find out if you can buy a house, find out how long it'll take you to get pre-approved. And I'm telling you, when you deal from a position of strength, you're confident, your job starts going better, your family's happier. We know we're making progress.
And it'll
we
be
have
a great
plan.
Process.
Absolutely. It's
great
very
process.
positive.
Now, we have a sister show, same time, same bat channel, everything, but tomorrow. I understand you're going to be on it tomorrow. Is that right?
I'm going to be on the Smoker
Broker.
With the broker himself. And so if you have questions about anything real estate tomorrow, same time, 12 o'clock.
What's your topic? Do you know?
I don't know yet, but it's going to be.
It's off the cuff.
And sometimes those are the best shows.
You know what? I'm going to call in.
Good.
I'm going to call in just to have fun.
Megan, we don't have to look at his face if he calls in, right? Awesome. All right, call in.
Oh, Megan, come on. Flash me up there. You'll do that for me, won't you?
Feel free to call in anytime you want. But no, we'll be talking real estate tomorrow, 12 to 1.
And again, that call-in number, if you ever have a question at any time for any show here at KVGI Radio, KVGI Media is 877-337-5844 right there on Facebook Live or YouTube. I've enjoyed this. I appreciate the time. We're going to we're going to cut it off a little bit short today, but I think this was a great topic, very informative. And with dealing with KVGI Media now on YouTube, this show literally will be up inside of 5 minutes after this we complete.
Yeah. And
that's awesome.
And I want to one more. Rick, thanks for calling in, buddy.
Hey, Rick, yes, thank you.
We'll do what we can for you if you want to reach out to us, and we'll try to get back with you too. And for anybody out there looking, find us on the web. Come look at the show and call in. My gosh, you got any friends looking to help?
Have some fun. Hey, I'm Blair Thomas.
I'm Alan Pace.
God bless and have a wonderful day.